Hello and welcome to Know Your Role. This is going to be a new segment in the Weekly Digest. The goal of this particular segment, Know Your Role, is simple. It's in the name. The know has to do with knowledge. We want to impart some timely knowledge to you, the audience. The your has to do with you, the esteemed students of South Middle School. And the role has to do with the duties you hold or will hold as citizens of the United States of America. The first few segments will be all about the upcoming presidential election, which is only a little over 7 weeks away. So we're calling this series Know Your Role Before You Go to the Poll. Today we meet with Mr. Walkup, who is not just the most interesting man in the world, he's also the most intelligent man in the world, and possibly the cosmos. And he's also a personal hero of mine for more reasons than I could list in a lifetime. Let's not waste any time, Mr. Walkup. You've participated in several presidential elections and witnessed several. Is it just me, or is this political season and presidential election a little unique?
This presidential election is more unique than previous elections because traditionally we've had two parties in our country since the 1850s, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. The Republican Party is usually conservative and doesn't like a lot of change. The Democratic Party is called also the Liberal Party, and they always want to change things quite a bit. And that's the basic difference between the two, but the two have been around for quite a while.
I see. So we've got one main question we want to address in this episode, and that is, it comes to us from Dayron, one of our viewers in Indiana and Indiana Avenue. Dayron asks, what makes a presidential election, this one, so polarizing?
This particular election is so different from any election before. And one of the main reasons is, on the Democratic Party, we have Hillary Clinton, who's been in politics for a long time, and it would be no surprise that someone like her would get the nomination of her party. What is really strange this year is the Republican nominee doesn't have a reputation as a political leader. He's Donald Trump, who was a businessman. And when he came into this race for president in the primaries, everybody thought he had no chance at all against the regular politicians. And to everyone's surprise, he defeated 16 other candidates to get the nomination.
So is there anything specifically that is going to make this election different when it comes to those two parties, those two candidates, and why they're so opposed to one another, and why people tend to gravitate toward one end of the spectrum or another?
Yeah, this is really very much a polarizing election where people are drawn totally to one candidate or totally to the other candidate, and they have a hard time seeing the viewpoint of the opposite side. Some of the issues that are coming up that have caused this to be a polarizing election, one of them is, of course, the economy, and that's always an issue in every election. The Republican Party is usually in favor of little government regulation of business, and they say there's such a thing as what they call trickle-down economics, that if there's enough businesses, they can hire more people, and eventually everybody gets to be better off. And then the Democratic Party is always in favor, usually, of a lot of social programs to help people out who need assistance. So a lot of social programs. An example of a social program would be something like Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. So they usually want to expand those. So those are always a controversy in every election. But one of the ones that's really vital, it's caused a big break between the two parties, is foreign policy. Because right now we have several countries that are giving us trouble. And the countries that are giving us trouble are North Korea, who's testing nuclear weapons that could reach the United States now. Iran, who we just did the controversial nuclear deal with, that they can't have an atomic bomb for 15 years, but what happens at the end of the 15 years? We have China and Russia being more forceful with us and trying to lay claims over territory that is not theirs. And another polarizing issue is there seems to be more racial unrest in the country right now than at any time previous. So those are certainly issues that are causing a lot of problems. And then, of course, the immigration issue is another one. And the Democratic Party is in favor, as I see it, in favor of more liberal immigration, let more people come. the Republican Party wants to secure the borders and make people follow the laws as they are currently written. So that's a big issue. And whether we can work these things out, we will find out in the election, but I know whoever wins, part of the people in the United States won't be happy with the result.
And they will probably have their hands full.
They will. I think sometimes that maybe you and I should run for president and vice president.
I definitely agree with that. Okay, so today's last question comes from an anonymous student in the upstairs 8th grade hallway, locker number 2036. Stick around after the show and I'll give you the combination. Anywho, the student writes, Mr. Walkup, why should we fear the mustache?
The mustache is all powerful. It created the universe. How do you think I stay so good looking? I take good care of my mustache because I don't want to offend it. By the way, it's not a mustache, it's a lip brow.
Well, we're out of time for this segment of Know Your Role. We hope you learned something, but more importantly, we hope you take that knowledge and do something with it. See you next time.